mental health is one of those things that we hear about all the time. There's a constant narrative that's always been spoken through communities. And I think you have to be courageous enough to say, man, I've got some things going on here. I need to reach out to someone, reach out and talk to someone about it, It's important that we address that, because where our mind goes, that's where our body goes. And our behaviors begin, and if we can be brave enough to want to change, we already started our healing process.
This one's for you and you and you and you and you and you. This one's for you and you and you.
Da 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 da.
Talofa everyone, welcome back to another Organic Talanoa. Today's special guest, I've got Rea Whionga Lemalu Simon Petelo, just on various community roles that he has. Man, it's a privilege to have you here. We can go into how you've ended up here, Lemalu, but welcome to Organic Talanoa.
Thanks very much. It's so good to be here. It's a real honour to be here, and it's been a long time since I've seen you, so grateful to be here. Thanks for the opportunity, and I've known you for many, many years as a child. Actually, we grew up together, lived across the road from each other, so we got connections that go way back. So thank you for having me on your show.
Awesome. Like I said, bro, it was good to reconnect again.
Yeah.
Probably that dreaded C word that everyone's trying to avoid, but we've gone through. So now that's brought you home.
Yeah.
I guess it's how's it been reconnecting or even seeing mum?
Yeah. No, it's been probably about 4 years since I've been back home. I reside in Sydney now, and I've been in Sydney for the last 22 years. And it's been, a really growth period for me in my life. And so I'm on holiday at the moment with my daughter, my 16-year-old daughter, or soon to be 16 in January. And we're having a great time being back at home, connecting with our families. And like, well, it's been here with you and that, connecting with you. But it's been difficult. We actually went for a trip yesterday to the old stomping grounds of Papakura, where we grew up. And just having a look around and showing my daughter around and Hunua Falls and having a great time. And it's one of my favorite things to do is connect with my daughter and just have that real close relationship. So it's great. It's been really good, and catching up with mum and my two brothers. It's always good to catch up with them and their families. So great time, and it's been a real long time coming. So it's been awesome to be back.
How did that work out with, just connecting with family on this side? So did you get together regularly online when we went through those patches?
Yeah, no, I think my brother alluded earlier when he was on your show. We didn't actually take advantage of that at the time. I think it was new for everybody, worldwide epidemic, and a lot of people were struggling with that. And I don't think the community sort of, were preempt to that. And understanding the value of connecting with family and that. So I think if it was to come around a second time, I think a lot of people would be more aware of how they could, connect with their families, and that vitally important in our community and that. And I think a lot of people are looking back and thought, we could have done better, in terms of how we could, talk to our families, connect with our families, and something that I'm very passionate about with my mental health.
Yeah.
And I think, COVID sort of highlighted the effects of mental health in a lot of areas, and so I'm pretty aware that that's something we can look at in the future, and getting that right in our families. Yeah,
that's a bit of work you've already done with mental wellness.
Definitely the community sector. It's sort of touched on many sectors with community-based work. Very passionate about, as you know, Polynesian people. We're all community-based people, and our lifestyles of church, sporting events and culture sort of intermingles with community, and we do it naturally. So a lot of our people have a real heart to do that, and that was like myself. My parents were served in the church, served in their community, and it just became almost like a forte for us to be a part of it. My younger brother's part of it. My elder brother Tyler's involved in it, and my sister also too. Like, gets connected with community, and that, and it's something that we enjoy doing, and something that's vital for the growth of any community. So, yeah.
With the with the lockdowns and that, the mental wellness, did you come across maybe your line of work, people that may have struggled, were struggling through that COVID patch?
Yeah, well, it's just definitely in terms with men's mental health, we have a tendency to hold back and not share, what's going on, what's really going on. It's a foreign thing for many of our Polynesian men. And I think we're in a generation that we came from where we used to hide a lot of that feeling insecure and that we don't like to share on those matters. But also we shared to certain people. We didn't like to share openly. We were very private men. And although I'm seeing sort of a change in that, we're starting to reach out a lot more to psychologists and counsellors and that, which is vital for us because, what we laugh about as Polynesian men, definitely it doesn't seem right, going forward as fathers and husbands and that. And I've learned a few lessons in my lifetime. If I can put it in one word, with mental health, I think development, mental stability and development is something that we really need to look at and making sure that we're really positive in the way we look at things, but also taking inventory of ourselves. I think that's vital and major. We don't analyze ourselves well enough. We're good at analysing others, but we're not good at analysing ourselves and making sure that, are we okay or is everything all right? Yeah.
When we're talking about analysing, I guess more the making sure our health is we're good, I guess, health-wise. Because we're finding now, the sicknesses, the illnesses, man, they're a lot younger. We're getting a lot younger now, so not sure whether that's come down to food, the food that we've got now, but I don't know what your experiences are with coming across with a lot of them that are sort of going a bit early.
Yeah, no, they had some work with disability, disability, and I think it's something we've put the microscope on for many years of our physical health, with Polynesians, with a lot of the illnesses that we were struggling with, diabetes and heart pressures and a lot of things that we're going through. We could critique those things, but we don't critique our mental health very well. It's something we sort of put on the side and we think, no, we're okay, we're strong, we've got our families around us, we've got our church and our community, but we don't really search into those things and become vulnerable. I think the word vulnerable is something that we try to hide from there. We try to hide from those things that make us stand out because we don't like to do that. We're a hidden culture. We like to hide behind our shortfalls. But we like to talk about our victories and that. And so, I think physical health is something that we've worked out a little bit, and we're starting to progress in that. But our mental health is something that it's that we're starting to be more aware of, and people are starting to speak more about it. And it's good. It's good for us to talk about it. As kids, we were exposed to a lot of mental trauma from our parents. Well, many people will call it discipline, but or we would call it discipline, but actually, in fact, it was actually trauma. And growing up, and this year I hit the 50s club, and I've looked back in my own life, and I've thought, there are some things that I had to evaluate and go, hang on. There's some things that have created some habits that I need to really take inventory of and hopefully change them to make me a better father, and a better person. That's what I'm sort of striving for.
I guess when we were look at our dads, in particular, like maybe being in a foreign country, probably didn't have that mentoring.
No.
I'd see a lot of them, man, they had a tough upbringing themselves, and no doubt you would have heard stories from your dad, sure. which is pretty, didn't really help the situation.
Yeah.
So with us, I guess now we're born here and we're able to learn a lot better compared to what our parents had come through. Because I guess going to the pub and just dropping a few handles was easy. Ruling the pub and the pool table,
that's
and
right,
so that was the life we were exposed to. Our parents, so it's that's good to. I guess you're starting to recognise those things, and you're starting to see it in other men as well. And like you say, it's good for them to start acknowledging, because when we talk about vulnerable, it's almost like a sign of weakness, eh?
Yeah, exactly. I've played a number of years of rugby with you, and we're sort of we have a sort of ethos that just 80 minutes, just don't give up. We have a real strong ethics in any contact sport, and to show a sign of weakness or vulnerability is something that was foreign to us. As non-Polynesians look at Polynesian men, they see us as warriors and tough men, and showing that side of a male, it's not looked upon favorably. And so we want to change that trend and have that conversation and change to make it a better future for us, and especially with our young men coming up. They sort of caught in between trying to be these hard men, but also they have a real soft side that we have to nurture and allow them to, that emotional maturity. And that's not seen too much. And I think our generation is starting to see the value of that. I try to encourage that with my daughter. Allow our conversations are quite deep and thorough, and allowing her to express herself and share her visions in life, and try to be create a real sort of an atmosphere where she can feel free to share her emotional sides and all her concerns and goals and dreams and that. And I just got to ride with that and support her right through that. Yeah.
It's been good showing her around the areas, different areas.
It's been awesome. And showing her around, and I've gone through the whole of Papakura and seen a lot of places have changed.
Yeah.
And not for the favourable. It's changed a lot, but it's been good to go through that journey of history with her, talking about my family and how we developed in this area and that area and meeting a lot of the other Pacific Island families, because like you've mentioned in previous shows, we were a small-knit community, and we only knew each other through our social gatherings, whether it was church or sport, and our parents knew each other really well. And
poker.
Yeah, and poker, yeah. Your parents live right across the road from us, and you probably could hear from your family's house when we were getting hidings from our side. But we look back at it, and they were great memories and fond memories, and it was nice to share them with my daughter. It was nice to see her. She's half Lebanese, so her mother's Lebanese, and seeing my side, she sees a lot of her mother's side, and it was good just to share that with her. It was some good, really great moments. But if you're going back home and you're a bit afraid of your own backyard, then something's gone wrong there. So no, but it was great. It's been fantastic to share that with her. Yeah.
Culturally, for your daughters, like are they very similar? That's probably the way to go with this one. Yeah.
Most cultural, as you know, in Sydney, there's diverse cultures there. And they're very passionate people, whether it's Lebanese or the Greeks or, Macedonians. Well, likewise with my daughter's mum's family, they're Lebanese, are very passionate, faithful people.
Yeah.
And in terms of being the difference, they still hold the cultural fibers, and they have sort of similarities in regards to mental health, the expectations that are placed on them through culture and church, same as us, and that they love their food. And they're great the hospitality and the way they host people. They're fantastic hosting for food, and likewise with our people, we like to indulge or overindulge in our food and that. But in terms of her growing up, I think with the parades that we have in the Samoan parades with the Tour Samoa, I happened to take my daughter out to the Mount Druitt area. Because where I'm residing, and there's not too many Polynesians, so we had a fantastic time just hanging out with all the Samoan people, and she got to the chance to witness her father's side's culture and just the celebrations and just how passionate we are as people, and that just like her mum's side, but so there are differences. But there are a whole lot of similarities in our cultures, and that's nice.
Yeah, no. It's always good to I like to, because there's been quite a few that have come on and they're cross culture. So I sort of just always try to ask questions like how it works in with the kids, because that's probably the more difficult one where they're trying to identify which side they But some were pretty well balanced, right?
Yeah. No, that's important. It's definitely important for that they both see. A lot of families don't get that opportunity to do that. But within my family, Alicia gets to explore her mother's side as well as my side, and she's pretty proud to be both of them. And I sort of joked with her she should have brought a Lebanese flag when we were out there too. So she's a very proud Samoan Lebanese. Yeah. So, and it's good for me because I had to change my style of parenting. Yeah. As you know, we had one sort of direction in our parents, and that's all they sort of knew, eh?
Yeah.
So I had to change my style and how I approach that, and be sensitive to her mother's side, as well as adopting her dad's side, and making sure that she's well balanced there.
Yeah. Getting told once in the there was no second time.
And looking back at that, I was just, like we alluded to earlier, that's all we knew, and that's probably all they knew.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely wary of that. As my daughter grows older, I have to change and become more innovative in how I parent her, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it because it helps me grow as a man and as a dad. It helps me to grow and making sure that I'm well balanced as a father. Yeah.
Crazy how we can sit back now and, like you said, it was trauma, but man, we can sit back and still laugh about it.
Yeah. I mean, that's how resilient we are. It's a testimony of how resilient we are as people.
Yeah.
A lot of people on the outside will look at it and go, man, you guys had some crazy things happen to you. But I think it's made us a lot more wary of how grateful we are in our parents. And I think in a lot of ways that was their way of showing their love to us. And I don't think at the time we appreciated or understood it, but as you grow older, and my late father would always talk to us in that manner, and I look back and I go, he was a fantastic father. He was a great man to me, and I've learned a lot of lessons from him, and I've used that to incorporate being a more rounded father for my daughter. So yeah, it's been a great journey of growth and development. Yeah.
Nice work, bro. Like, I guess now with both of you, actually, because there's a hobby, I guess, like for yourself, and I sort of bring it up in terms of like with DJing, the wellness and not just in yourself, and being able to create the music for your audience, but you'll also the enjoyment your audience get off that. Like, so how's that journey with you and your daughter?
No, it's something we really enjoy and we relish. It's my daughter and I DJing together, and I think we're probably one of the only Sydney father-daughter DJs, and that comes back from many years of DJing, and you would have alluded to that too, way back from DJ Double Beats Ituali, and going through all that through the two Jester boys, the two younger brothers. And I think we were ahead of our time at that time. But actually, that music really probably saved us. Really, it was we grew up in a lot of gang affiliated areas, and music really brought us together. And I think we were the only DJ that had 12 roadies or something like that, or carried a box of records in at that time. So, and it's come full circle to my daughter, where she loves music, and we love hanging out together and. Just enjoying, seeing her grow in that.
Yeah,
it's not easy to get up in front of I would say 1,000, but a few hundred people, and just be put on the spot to play some music and cue up the next song to get her all ready. And she's just taken it in the stride. She's been doing it a long time, since she was probably about 8 or 9, and just really enjoyed it. And I think the mental stability is helping her dad and being together and just.
Yeah.
And just hanging out together and enjoying the music and seeing people have a great time. And, we've had a lot of people commenting on us about, our relationship and that's been really rewarding. It's been really, really good. And we look forward to even bringing more of that alongside to people who follow us in the near future.
Do you have a page or like?
Just on my Instagram page. I've got to revamp it. I think I need my daughter's help. I've been doing it on my own and it looks pretty woeful, to be honest. But she's going to look into that and maybe get more followers. But definitely it's DJ Sai. and Simon Petelo, but we're looking at modifying that and updating it a little bit more, get more followers and that. But we enjoy it. It's something we like doing, and also Alicia gets the exposure of the nightlife and what goes out on in the life as a young person. They like to crave that sort of environment, but not too many 15-year-olds like hanging out with the old man. So, and I get a lot of comments about that. So it's a real blessing to me to have her there, and she keeps me sharp too. There are times when she's telling her old man off, so and I receive that. It's good, and it's good for development and growth. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's good to have that exposure. I guess being young, and it's a controlled environment with yourself.
Yeah.
Look at across what is acceptable behaviour, in bars and that. Because I guess nowadays, man, it can be. She's a bit more crazy than us coming through.
Definitely, and I think that having been open to that conversation, having a youth background, I did a lot of youth work and with kids at risk and juvenile justice. Having that background and being honest with that conversation with her allows her to see it for herself that her father's not just trying to pull one over, is actually the reality of our young people today, and the stresses that they have today. It's real, and our young people are exposed to so much more than what we were. The images that they and the social media and that's really tough for a young person today to navigate through that. And I think that conversation is, long overdue, where our parents used to take inventory of that and go, hey man, let's try to control some of this because it's starting to get out of hand. And then, it's just really crazy out there for our young people. And that's why it's a bit of a safe haven for me having my daughter next to me. And, a lot of people come up and ask for songs, and we always tell them to just point to the phone and just some safety boundaries and but also just being exposed to what alcohol. We see a lot of people come in sober and walk out legless, from our music. And we don't, we just, we enjoy it, but there is a real serious side to that, that we need to, address it. Yeah.
Because I think was there a stage where you actually went outback?
We sort of, I went out and did some work out with the Indigenous Aboriginal community and Dubba and that, and working in schools, trying to help the students to reassimilate to the curriculum.
Yeah.
We had a lot of students that were truanting, and so we'll be doing classes. There would be teachers would be teaching classes, and we'd have a whole lot of students just walking around the school. And they couldn't police it very well. Yeah. So I had to run a lot of programs in the schools to help them connect. Yeah. And, pretty good great outcomes. And I think it's maybe because of the music. Yeah. We used a lot of music at lunchtime I used to DJ, and they would look forward to coming to school because of it. Mm. So it's important that we connect with our kids on their levels and making sure that we connect our skill sets to their skills, and they respond to that. And if we're sincere and we show that we care, young people respond to it. And that's the good thing about it. But there are some major issues out in the country. They got a real big drug addiction, substance abuse, and they come from broken families, and like most city kids too. And so I went out there for a few years and did some work. It was great experience, great exposure to a different style of young people and youth. But also there were some tough moments there too. So helped me develop be more effective as a community worker and a mentor. But it was great. It was a great part of my life out there. Yeah.
It's good to see that, because music does that. It just brings interest and brings in a lot of people in there that they enjoy music. Whether I can't sing, but. I know, you just jam me out, spinning those tunes. Were they learning to be DJs, or just more that maybe you incorporated the DJing into your program?
There was a time that we were trying to do that. We tried to incorporate, but it was always under just funding issues, So there was a couple of young men that I got involved in it, but it wasn't as a scale that I was looking to do it at. Funding is always an issue with community work. Yeah. And, but it's a vehicle. Music's definitely a vehicle. A lot of talented people, young people, and there's so much depth of it in Australia. So many young musicians and DJs and dancers and artists and it's just right across the board, but it's being able to tap into the issues they're going through and draw all of that out, it takes some talented people. And there's a lot of organizations around that are really striving, having some great outcomes. And it's really promising, but also there's some are falling through the gaps, and that we gotta try to connect with those ones who are falling through the gaps. But it's an issue that won't go away, and hopefully doesn't get any worse. We want to nullify that as much as we can. Yeah.
Well, nice work. I mean, it's good to understand. It's not a lot of us would actually go out back, but to have that experience, like even that was
it was difficult at times. We were there, and I recall the first night we arrived and we packed. The following the night while we were sleeping, we got burgled. We got burgled, and there was a couple of Aboriginal kids across the road from us. So I went over and visited them, had a bit of an exchange of words, and reminded them we're here to help. But it was a change of culture, because they got different ethics, say, in the outback, and they know the visitors. They're gonna be stuck out like a sore thumb and that. So. But eventually, I got to know the family, because their kids came to our school, and they got to know, and then we formed a great relationship in that. But just there's a lot going on out in the outback, a lot of accidents on farms and things like that. So mental health is one of the major issues they're having with the farmers, with the weather patterns, and that. So it's connected by their fathers and kids, and it's a family issue out there. So yeah.
Nice, bro. I guess in front of us, we've got you've written a book. So just I guess briefly, this your book that you're going through. I mean, I don't know if you ever expected to write a book in your life.
No, definitely not. And it was a real honor. It's actually 10 years in the making. So I've written this book and opened the church doors and let me out. And this year was the 10th year anniversary of that.
Oh, nice.
And it's very confronting, the title, but it's definitely about connecting with God on a personal basis. It's real topical at the moment, with a lot of churches going through a lot of issues at the moment, in-house issues. And I guess if I can formulate it really quickly, it's like every family. We have disagreements in families. Church family is definitely something that we struggle with, in that, different characters, different characteristics, and sometimes we rub each other the wrong way, and that's part of being a family. It's part of being but this is my synopsis of the journey that we went as a family. When my daughter was probably about 3 weeks old, we got onto a plane and went to North America, and a lot of people were saying, "You're crazy taking her out there," but some great stories when we went through Mexico and Japan, and it's a great read, and I encourage people to get online. I've put it up on my Facebook page, and they can get a link on it. But it challenges the corporate relationship of church versus the intimate relationship with God, making sure that we connect with God on a personal level. And I think that's self-explanatory in the Christian faith. We need to do that a lot more. And, it was a great experience writing it. Co-wrote it with Marianne Macram, and that's my daughter's mum. And we went over there as a family, and she shares some great stories and experiences. Her background is in education and that, and it was a great testimony of what God can do in someone's life if you just have a go at it. So we're pretty proud of it, and we look forward to getting some feedback from people. Like I said, it's a pretty confronting title, and it comes from the scripture of Christ when he was in a temple, and he was talking about how the church has turned into a marketplace, and he said he wouldn't return back until we fix it up. And I think that's where we're at the moment. We need to take inventory, like mental health, and check ourselves before we move forward. And like any family, if we're going through issues, we need to sit down and chat and talk about it and move forward. And as Polynesian or Samoan, that's what Talanoa is, sitting down and having a good yarn and say, "Hey man, what's going on?" and checking in on each other.
So much has happened, like in your life, and coming right up to this the book here. And I was think about your own wellness. So other than your DJ, man, like what else? What for yourself? Like, do you have any other ways of sort of getting through tough times, stressful times?
Yeah, it's important. Like I think probably the breakdown of my marriage was something that really made me look at where I'm at in life. and taking inventory of myself. The Bible said, judge yourself before you judge others, I may not have been a great husband, but I'm a really good dad.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I look back at in my life, I was really fortunate to meet the people in my life. And this one was a great person that I've met in my life, and great, fantastic mother. And I've learned to cope in life and taking sort of a look at myself and how I can improve as a man, as a son, how I am towards my mum, and as a brother to my brothers and sisters. And I look back, and there were some things that, came from my trauma in the early days, and how I perceived stuff and how I looked at things and how I perceived some bad habits. And those things you've got to work through. You got to be honest enough and be brave enough, because it takes a lot of courage to look at yourself and go, hey, man, I've got some things going on. And I had to go through those things and go, man, it's a lonely journey. And I think being out in Dubbo and living alone in that, it really made me look at myself and go, hey, man, I've got some things I need to look at. But I'm proud of my achievement. I'm proud of my progress. I'm not saying I've arrived, but I'm still working on my journey and moving forward. My ex and I have got a great relationship with our daughter. She's, we just throw in 120% each, and we work around investing, and I think investing great things and great memories into her. Yeah. I think the power of that is understanding that, that pushing my daughter past where I ever achieved. She's the greatest achievement that I've ever had. Yeah. Besides the book, besides anything, my daughter was the greatest achievement I've had in my life. And learning how to be a better dad is the greatest achievement, a gift to her. So I feel privileged in that. And, there are some days, there's some days that you go, man, what's happening? I've got a pretty stressful job at the moment. I've got a role where I'm working with a lot of people and encouraging them. There are some days, but those days are becoming less and less, because you just keep striving to become better as yourself. And I think being good to yourself, we're own critics. We don't sit back and say, man, I'm okay today. I'm doing all right. Having those conversations with yourself is mandatory, I think. Yeah. And also connecting with good men like you and catching up with you, and it's just great. Being back in Auckland, it's been away for, like I said, 22 years, and I call Sydney home, but this is my second home. Yeah. So it's good to be back again.
Just listening to your stories, bro, like with you, especially the relationship between you and your daughters, like, I can guarantee you, man, what you've just explained, and that, like, I can tell you're a good dad, so it's awesome. And probably what's even better, like, I'm not sure with no one in our audience that are listening, is that your daughter's actually here, actually sitting in the studio listening. So, which is awesome. Like, I'm just glad that she's able to share this Talanoa with yourself.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, because, probably many years from now, I'll look back at it and go, man, that was a great experience. And I thank you. Thank you for empowering people, your listeners, through this vehicle of podcasting. And you actually inspired my daughter. She's thinking of venturing into that, and that podcast area too, and through communications and that. So, you're inspiring a lot of us. And likewise with my book, I didn't think the day I'd see you do this. We've known each other. We've shared a few beers together and had a few laughs together as young men and that. And we've seen a lot together, and it's so it's a proud moment for me to hang out with you and do this. So thank you so much.
No, not a problem. I mean, just as we've wrapped up, and any, I guess, words of encouragement, just for our community, for men out there too that are listening.
Yeah, sure. I think mental health is one of those things that we hear about all the time. There's a constant narrative that's always been spoken through communities. And I think you have to be courageous enough to say, man, I've got some things going on here. I need to reach out to someone, reach out and talk to someone about it. It's important that we address that, because where our mind goes, that's where our body goes, and our behaviors begin. And if we can be brave enough to want to change, we already started our healing process. there are a lot of great people out there that are willing to help and step in and be an advocate for them and to help them, assist them in the area. And I think, we have a lot to offer us Polynesian men and women, a lot to offer the community for our experiences, our lifestyles, our nature, our humour. And we've got a lot to offer in our skills, and I think that's the start of just being who you are. But just get help, seek help, man. And I think that's the greatest achievement we can do, is get better as human beings.
I'd like to thank all the listeners that have jumped on just with the value in our Talanoa today, listening. And it was just awesome to be able to share this little space here with the brother here, Lemalu Simon Petelo, as well as the daughter, Alicia. Just for yourselves, like and subscribe. Plenty more to come. But once again, thank you for tuning in and listening to Organic Talanoa. Thank you, my man.
This one's for you and you and you. And you and you and you. This one's for you and you and you.
Da 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 da.